even for us who are conservatives in this room and have a very biased view on, type of communistic regime and governing system, and hate that style of governing, we all agree that we need to share and we need to contribute to society. We need to not only serve ourselves and do things for selfish reasons. The biggest difference between communism and everybody sharing and giving according to their abilities and taking according to their needs and this sense of community is it's voluntary. It's done voluntarily, and when you do it with that mentality, then you do it out of love, and the person that receives it has gratitude for what you've done for them, and the person that gives it feels good and has a sense of satisfaction and purpose in their life. When you do it out of force, the person that it's being taken away from is resentful and less likely to continue to produce, and the person that receives it is not grateful. They feel entitled to receive it. That's the major difference. Two systems that kind of have the same objective overall, and that is taking care of everybody, but two different approaches in doing it. And the main variable there is force, and that's what we've got to eliminate. That's why we're trying. Government is force. That is essentially the definition of government. It's force. We want government in certain limited capacities, in that we want to force our foreign enemies to stay out of our country. We want to force individuals that would take over or infringe upon our rights to stay out of our house and stay off our property. But that's where we want the government to stop. We don't want the government to force us to be charitable, or in a sense, take our taxes and pay it out to causes that we don't agree with.
Or take more than they, I was just thinking about this morning, actually, as I was getting ready for work. I was thinking, I was listening to something, and I thought to myself, like, the Biden administration and the many policies that they put in place are taking my money and your money, and it's putting it in this great big pot, and they act like that's their money.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, what has President Biden ever done? He's never worked a job, to my knowledge. He's only been in government, so he's actually never participated in the private market, or no. And yet we have this guy telling us how we should be spending or saving or doing all these things, or promulgating all these policies upon us, and by force, if you will. And it's like, why are you telling us how to do this stuff when you have no clue? You've never lived a life.
And that's the majority of the elite left.
And the word came to my mind, swamp. That's what they mean by draining the swamp.
It's these professors out there who teach these theories, but have never gone out in practice and run a small business to see what actually works. They teach theologically how it might work, and it doesn't work that way. In practice, we see everyday families coming into us and say, yes, I want my kids to all be the decision makers when I pass away. And we say, yeah, that's not going to work.
Sometimes.
You need to have a decision maker, and each of your kids can be the beneficiaries and hold them accountable for what is in your estate and how it's distributed. But you need to have a decision maker, and that's the practical approach to it. But unless you see it, as we have thousands of cases, and worked through the scenarios and actually make sure that there is enough money to carry out the objective, then you can't tell other people how they should be spending their dollars. And we get too many professors in there that are so smart that they're not actually in the actual economy, participating and contributing to it. And they think they are because they're in these universities. They're getting paid for what they teach and for the indoctrination that they're spewing upon our children. They're getting paid for that. They've already been compensated. They didn't actually return anything back to the community unless they look statistically what is their contribution? How has it built up the community? And when you look statistically, we're seeing that it's tearing down the community. You look at these Ivy League schools, where are the biggest encampments? These movements that are not just civil protests, but they're outright riots against the government, things that Trump is currently on trial for right now, that they're doing themselves and destroying the places of higher living or higher learning, and they are taking down society. And you guys just got to look at how the outcome is. The theory, it can sound good, but what happens in the end? That's what you got to focus on. And I've always had the frame of mind that I think a well-educated individual with just common sense, even at a 5th grade level of civic understanding and what the Constitution is, would do better than 90% of the politicians we have in office today.
If you have questions or want to know more about something that was discussed today, please call the law firm of Deason, Garner & Hansen at 928-783-4575 or visit yumaestateplanning.com.